with Colette, and I'm doing my treat because I am Colette Ramsey, and it's a pleasure to be with you. As I always like to share, I don't take anything for granted. I don't take your time, your conversation, your consideration for granted. We don't take it for granted here at WHPR TV 33. So if that is how you are tuned in this morning, great morning. Or if it is Comcast, great morning, or Roku, or streaming live, or on an app, that's what the beauty of this technology is that we've made it available to you. So there's no excuses. No matter where you are, you can tune in and be a part of the conversation. You know what? Yesterday, we were copping it up, as they say, about black privilege. And I asked you all, actually, if it was an oxymoron, if that was the type of two words that you don't even consider that they should go together, black and privilege. Or then I asked you, did you think about the origin of the word as we are entering into this national spelling bee experience? And did you think about the origin of the word? Did you think about who gave us the word? Did you think about where the conversation or the phrase would come from? And I got tickled because I always ask us, be open to listen and learn, not just hear someone. And when we are presented with things, whether we are corrected because we are not perfect people, we do not have all the correct information, and if some individuals can give us something that makes us better, we need to grasp a hold of that. So if you recall last Friday, we were talking to Son of Man, and he outlined that he was deliberate in his conversation, in his words, because he wanted to make sure that he conveyed what he needed to say correctly. And so, of course, I know you all thought about it. I asked you to, and I did. So when I start now, it's like the wordsmith. I constantly think about the words and what they mean and how I put them together so that I can make sure I say the correct things. I can make sure that I convey the message that I want to convey to us in an appropriate manner. And so I was appreciative of it because when I started thinking about black privilege, where does that come from? We were coming off of the Memorial Day observance, and a lot of people, when I had conversations, people would say, oh, happy Memorial Day to you, happy. Well, I was reading an article in the New York Times, and a former veteran said that the truth is people kind of get it twisted. They don't understand the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. That Memorial Day isn't a happy time. It is not a happy time. It is an observance time for those that we have lost in their commitment to this country, who have lost their lives in the commitment to this country. So it's a somber day. It is a day of reflection versus what society perhaps has taught us. It is the onset of summer. It's the time to have a barbecue and all these other kind of things. And so we miss the meeting. So I'm thinking about reading. I'm going back to the man's conversation is in my head. I'm like, okay, Colette, it's playing off words. What does it look like? And in doing more history for Memorial Day, did you all know that the first acknowledgement of those who have given their lives or lost their lives to this country was from slaves? Don't know that. Houses, slaves. It was a racetrack that they converted into a place, a holding cell, if you will, for the prisoners. And these soldiers, when they would die, they just did massive graves and put all the bodies in the graves. And so the slaves came back to that space, dug up the bodies. It took them weeks to prepare proper burials for them, and had a service. Are you hearing me? Had a service to honor those. And if you recall, there was fights for us to even be in service. But yet again, we are the people then that honor the lives. We are still patriotic, and we still have the humanness to us. And so thinking about that, I said, wow. So would we consider that we're privileged? And maybe the understanding of what privilege looked like. And then I did a little more research, and I came across an article, a book. David Horowitz, I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and he wrote this book, and he said, you know what? Black folks, maybe the problem is that you use the race card, you use the privilege card because you don't want to deal with the true issues. So you want to say that it's an issue of affirmative action and allowing you to get into educational institutions because your grades aren't good enough. Or you want to say that it's an issue of a fair housing or living in certain areas because your credit isn't the right type of credit. And you want to say then that you're living in poor conditions in the communities, or there's an issue with police serving you in your communities, but maybe it's not because you're black, it's just because you did something wrong. You break the law. And so I said, wow, in the midst of all these interpretations and everything that's been presented to us, do we look at it that way? So do we say that, wow, all Black lives matter? And so I'm going to make you acknowledge that Black lives matter, but we consistently kill each other. And let me give you another way to look at it as well. We don't always kill each other literally. We kill each other figuratively in our actions, in our words. Do you realize that? And when we are so adverse to each other and want to be argumentative and confrontational with each other versus listening to what we have to say. Because we can all learn from each other. But is that just who we are? Is that why we're in the situation that we're in? Because we want to use certain words and play on certain scenarios to benefit a platform. But at the end of the day, as we talk about, because it's Solution Friday, that it really has no bearing on the action and the progress of us. Whether as a community, as an organization, we keep talking the same talk and nothing changes. So maybe it's just a platform to say Black Lives Matter. I'm going to make you all realize that Black Lives Matter. And then we're going to march and we're going to protest and maybe we're going to raise some money. And then I don't know where that money goes, and we don't see what happens to that money. And it's definitely not put back into perhaps this television station. It's not put back into the programs that the New Nation of Islam is doing. You know, entities that have real programs, real services, we don't support that. So I just want us to understand, like, where, did I just throw the words arbitrarily out there and say, okay, no, I wanted you to think about them. It's Solution Friday, and I knew the Son of Man was going to be on. And so I was just thinking, like, oh, I can't wait. I know that you couldn't wait to see what he's going to share with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him in. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Great morning to you, Son of Man.
And Ms. Ramsey.
Thank you.
I have thought about what you said, and most of us, we don't think about the word privilege, but it's used quite a bit. And you notice, driving is a privilege. To have a driver's license, it's a privilege, not a right. The Constitution don't grant you the right to drive. By law, you have a privilege. And if you can pass a test and if you can do what they tell you to do when you're out on the road. Now, you look at the privileged class of us, they was called house Negroes. And the house Negro was given certain privileges that the field Negro didn't have in slavery. And even right now, you notice a good example. Many of us, we are deceived into thinking that because they allow us to be movie stars and that kind of thing. When I say they, I'm talking about Caucasian people who are in power. They allow us to walk around posturing and speaking out, as long as our speaking is just approved by them. They know they have to put some of us out here to represent the frustrations of Black people. But in reality, when you look at those who do most of the talking and who they have you looking up to, that's all it is. It's talk. There's no real action behind it. It's just like when we called, and I'm using this as an example. I don't want you to think that I'm not trying to make enemies of the Black groups and things that are trying to that people have joined, thinking that they are helping our people. But I want to just give us a little dose of a reality check here. You notice how quiet the NAACP has been about the lynching of Dr. Bill Cosby. When we called them to ask them why they're not speaking out for him, one of the secretaries or whatnot gave us a brush off by saying he has money, he can defend himself. What kind of thing is that to say when you're supposed to be an organization to keep injustices from happening to us? Well, that's a privileged class of our people that kind of like in that movie about the vampires. What's that? Underworld. The vampires created a privileged class of werewolves to defend them and to keep the other ones in check, and keep the other werewolves in check. And so you look at that story, and you look at what they did with, our leaders. When you know anything, white people done put some black man on television and telling you he's speaking for you and me, and you and I never even question where did he come from, and sometimes we follow him all the way up. It's just like, I remember when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was here, and Martin Luther King, they nurtured him all the way up. He was a very bright young man. He wound up in college by the time he was 14, and they thought they had prepared him to help lead you and me into more secure shackles. But Martin Luther King, when he visited the messenger, he woke up, and as he told, what's his name, Harry Belafonte, he told Harry one day he was sitting down thinking about what he had been teaching and doing with his people. He said, Harry, I think all I've done was invited my people into a burning house. And he started speaking out against the war. He started speaking out against the things that, like he gave a little lecture on black, everything that you learn about black is something evil, and everything you learn about white is something good. And white man was listening. And so Martin Luther King, who was of the privileged class, they started preparing to take him down, because his privileges were being slowly taken away to go out and just speak and be looked up to. They started vilifying him. And it's just like you notice all of the black leadership, other than those who was following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, white people call them up on the phone, quietly threatening them. They never threatened Malcolm until he started following them. Then they get on the phone and start masquerading themselves as some member of the Nation of Islam or whatnot. But it was actually white people and the FBI and all of them calling that man up, threatening him, and trying to put brother against brother. But privileges, a privileged class is what the sports figures, the movie stars, all of the black people who seemingly made it in this country. You see how quickly they shut down Miss Goldberg, Whoopi Goldberg, when she spoke up for Dr. Cosby. Then they made her come back out there and deny him if she wanted to keep her job, if she wanted to keep her privileges. And so anytime that you are not under their control, they don't mention you. You notice white people never mentioned in their news media the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you will never hear them mention me. You don't hear them mention me. I talk about them all the time. You won't hear them say nothing about me. It's because I'm not one of their lackeys. No. Excuse me, because that sounds like I'm trying to beat down those of my people who they have deceived into working for them. I'm not one of the privileged ones that they put up there, because most of those who are privileged, they don't see themselves as being privileged. They think they see themselves as having worked hard. And if you look at the young lady, Wendy, what's her name? She got a show, Wendy Williams. She thinks she worked her way to that position. And that's the way most of our people are, and we don't control the media. And somehow we think we worked our way into and when we do have a media that a media outlet that we control, most of our people don't support it. I mean, look at the station, WHPR and TV 33. It should not be a low power station. WHPR and TV 33 should be able to compete with all of the other CBS and all of them, as many black people as it is, and yet that brother have to struggle to keep his doors open and keep his prices where his people can come in there and truly afford to speak their mind and convey their true sentiments, instead of come out there making a speech that was given to them to say. Yes, there's a privileged class, and we need to recognize it, and those who are part of the privileged class need to know that the purpose of them being privileged is to actually help keep their own people down. And you notice white people are not, you don't call them a privileged class. This is their country. That's why even when Mr. What's the brothers Bundy, when Mr. Cliven Bundy didn't like what the government was doing to him, other white people got together and they stood up against the government, and the government recognizing that, hey, we can't go out here and shoot our own people down. We can't, but they were able to show you that this is their country. A white citizen owns America. We don't own America. And when we remember that, then we realize that we are the true privileged class. They give us, and when privileges are given to you, they can be taken. But anyway, as long as we let them educate us about the meaning of words and all of that kind of thing, we're going to always be misled, and we're going to always be thinking wrong. It's just like, I know we usually go to the phone lines later, but if you want to go to the phone lines now, I know there's brothers out there, just like Mr. What's his name? Alonzo Fleming, Dr. Fleming. When I first met Dr. Fleming, he and I got along fine. And next thing you know, Dr. Fleming seemed to had a problem with me, and I didn't even know why. I still don't. I've always respected him. And I'm the one told him to start using his title again, because he worked for it. I said, use your title, brother. You ain't got nothing to be ashamed of because you got a doctorate degree and people may be jealous of you. And but if he got a problem with me and listening, I'd like him to come in here and tell the people what it is. What did I do to deserve your wrath? All I'm here trying to do is to help my people. And you can tell when Sister Colette, when you talk about the definitions of things, most people don't understand that when the scripture says, whosoever is greatest among you, and let him be the servant of all. You know what happens when you somebody's servant? It's just like somebody's child. Whenever a child is doing anything, and an adult, or especially an adult, questions them, the adult can stand there and say, why did you do this? And the child will say, because such and so, and say, he stop what he's doing and say, because such and so and such and so and so. And then the adult may say, well, where are you going tomorrow? That child, no matter how many questions that adult asks that child never says, I don't have to answer you. That child, as long as those questions are legitimate questions, the child, no matter what he was doing, have to stop, because he recognizes that adult is someone that he should answer questions from. You notice I'm the only leader that you have that stops every time people want to question him. Whosoever shall humble themselves as a little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. You notice how when people talking to us, the average person that's talking to us, if we try to stop them, they say, don't cut me off. Such and so and such and so and so. When I'm talking and someone makes a sound or want to question me about what I just said, I stop immediately, like a child. So,
we can stop right now because the lines are lit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So everyone, here we go. We're going to have this great conversation. And just before I bring us all together, know that we are here to educate, enlighten, and empower. There's more than one way to have a conversation. Okay? But we're not going to do the disrespecting. I shouldn't have to put that disclaimer out. But we'll put it out right now. We're not going to do the disrespecting, okay? So when we get everybody in the conversation together, hey, you make a point, you give a pause, you allow for dialogue. A conversation goes both ways. Everyone, you ready? Here we go, son of man. Let's go to the line. Thanks for your patience. Great morning to you. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I called back this morning because that was very interesting. What the young lady that you played on the clip, what she was saying is a privilege to suffer, and she named all the suffering we had.
Yes.
That changed the definition that she had no right to and caused confusion. But when I heard the Son of Man, he talked just then about in the English language. We have to use and we have to be clear about. He talked about practical things that what made a person a privilege. It had enjoyment, not suffering. And that's what I was just saying yesterday. That young lady was playing church with words. And what she done, she caused confusion. Such as, I hold the same position as the Son of Man. That the right hand privilege in America was to have a permanent job. That was not suffering. That was enjoyment. And blacks did not have that privilege to have jobs. But she turned it around. That's what I was saying yesterday. But I want to say...
wait. Stay right there then. Let's stay right there. Because everyone, the clip that he is referring to is spoken word artist Crystal Valentine, and her piece was entitled Black Privilege. And her position in her piece was, should I identify it as privilege if I have to mention the names of black sisters and brothers who have been slain by police? Should I consider it a privilege if I have to know and utilize my sisters and brothers and my unborn children? She was taking a position of, based on all the atrocities in this society, then should I call that privilege? That was her position. So for me, it wasn't that we are now critiquing or demeaning her position. That was her viewpoint of how we look at Black privilege, period. So I understood what you were saying yesterday, but my cause to you was look at it from the perspective in which she presented. That if we understood Black privilege, why are all these things happening to us? We acknowledge all these things happening to us, and we do nothing about it.
Well, I would say this. I'm 76.
Okay.
I've been in every movement since I was very young.
Sure.
And I've seen, not read, I've seen that type of discourse to be confused with different parts of history. Instead of talking about privilege, when it comes to English language that we live in, then to turn it around and try to use reverse. That do we have a privilege to suffer? That totally give a new definition to the word privilege, and that causes confusion. Because if I go on home and I look at the dictionary, it says just what Son of Man said. It says it's enjoyment. It has, and I'm looking at the dictionary now.
Right. Well, let's stay right there. So you're looking at the dictionary that was created for us by the majority group. So you're looking at a Webster's dictionary.
We can't change that.
I'm sorry?
You know, when you go to college, you went to college.
Absolutely.
They asked you what purpose was. If you didn't do it from the basic standards in this country across the language, you would fail. You couldn't use that in your job.
Sure.
Use that.
Well, let me ask you this. On that point, you were confused because you made the point that she was confusing. Well, you chose the word confused, so you were confused because you didn't understand her positioning in the piece. Is that correct?
No, I understand.
Okay.
I told you what the definition was. The definition to privilege was our suffering. And so that's what she was saying. Our suffering is not a privilege at all.
Yes.
But let me say this last thing.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
You know, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., like all great leaders, when you read history on every continent, when people get tired of conditions, they express it in many different ways. It's the masses of people who makes revolutions in all countries. And great leaders join those movements and give clarity to those movements and organize those movements, and usually those leaders come from the educated class, but they come as individuals. They are able to join the movement. So what I'm saying, Martin Luther King Jr., I never read it, but I've read all his books. I read Where Do We Go From Here, or Why We Can't Wait, and he never said he led the people into a fire. It brings his last on the mountaintop. He was consistent that the tactic that we should use was mass demonstration, because mass demonstration will stop business, and that's the way you hurt their pocketbook, and that's how you win. And he was in line with the movement of this country. That's how we got Social Security. We didn't get it through great presidents and Congress.
Okay, well, stay right there. Stay right there for a minute, because I'm going to interject, then I want Son of Man to interject. I don't recall the conversation that we just had that said that Martin Luther King made the statement. It was, and I'm not trying to speak for Son of Man, but I believe that Son of Man said it was Malcolm X who said that he felt like he was leading people to the fire. Son of Man, I can't speak for you.
What actually it was is Harry Belafonte. It's online. You can go online and hear Harry Belafonte talking about Dr. King, and he said that Dr. King, when he walked up to him and saw him looking down and dejected, that Dr. King told him that Harry, he said, "I'm afraid all that I have done was invited my people into a burning house." And the reason I didn't just take it because Harry Belafonte said it. I believed it because Dr. King had met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a couple of times, and they were planning a convention together. Unless you're saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was lying when he said that he and Dr. King were planning a convention. He also said that Dr. King, he said that he went down where they were supposed to have a convention together. He said, he agreed with me, and I agreed with him to agree with me. Not in his way, he said, but Dr. King, he woke up right away, and he agreed with him that all white people are not, some of them is not as evil as others. He said, but Dr. King said they all from the same stock. And so Dr. King was changing his thoughts on what direction he should go. And there's no black leader who would meet with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that would not have changed his thoughts if he kept on meeting with him. If he wasn't planning nothing with the messenger, why would he go visit him a couple of times? He didn't just go once. So just because you don't see it in no book out there, that don't mean that it didn't happen, that the conversation didn't happen, brother. So, you know, I mean, it's just like I know that the reason that the sister that you saying was confusing people was because the way she said what she said, it didn't make sense. Even though what was said, what was communicated, was just miscommunicated. It wasn't that it was false. It was just miscommunicated. Because me personally, I consider it a privilege to suffer whatever I have to suffer to help my people. Those of my people who trust me to lead and guide them, they give me that privilege to do so. And whatever just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he considered it a privilege to help us. That it was by our permission. He couldn't help us if we didn't let him. So it was a privilege that to him for us to trust him to help us. The reason all you hear us do is complain is because the average one of our people is like the person when they go to the physician. When all they can do is complain about the pain that they are in. The one who hears their complaint is the physician, the doctor. He's supposed to do something about it. Well, the leadership is supposed to understand what you're complaining about and know the remedy to it. But we have been going to the privileged class that white people created and gave privileges if they want to be in the news media, if they want to get paid and whatnot. Then they just go through the motions of leading you, but they always go back behind closed doors and check with boss and check with the one who handles them and pays them for what they should do next. And as long as we follow those kind of people, we're going to stay in the condition that we are in. And so this is what I say. You know, many of you know what's wrong. You know that we are messed up. But instead of you getting with me, I have the solution. All you want to do is talk about what's wrong. Sitting around talking about it ain't gonna get it done. The doctor don't want you to just keep on when you go to the doctor's office and he asks you, okay, tell me what's happening, and you start telling him. Then once he says, okay, I got it. He don't want you to just keep on talking. He wants you to let him do his job. Well, I have the solutions to our problems. I'm just asking you all to give me a chance. Get out from behind all of these people that's set up there and getting paid to do nothing for you. if you gave me a chance, if y'all gave me a chance for a 1 week and really trusted me, you wouldn't want to get behind nobody else but me. Because I'm not here to rob you. I'm here to solve our problem. It's just like, I'm not afraid that the Ku Klux Klan or nobody else gonna call me up threatening me. Here you got these people walking around here calling themselves Muslims, talking about they got to hide. I'm not hiding. Because I truly am a Muslim. The devil ain't got no authority over me. And I say it to his face. And if he's stupid enough to put his hands on me, that'll be the end of him. Or at least try to put his hands on me. You stand as much chance of murdering me or getting away with mistreating me now as you would of taking a rocket ship to the sun. So, I'm here for your salvation. If I didn't have power to save you, I wouldn't be a savior. Allah have given me the authority to speak for us. And you notice, brother, I don't mean no disrespect to you. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm just telling you who I am. And I'm stand ready to answer any questions or any arguments that you all present. You don't hear none of these other leaders telling you come in there and show them that they wrong. You go to stand up in their meeting and argue with them. You know they put you out of there. I don't try to throw you out because you try to argue with me. I listen to your argument and I answer your questions. Do that sound like I'm arrogant? So, it's just like you ask Miss Ramsey. Ask Richard when he gets back better. When he suggested that I start doing these morning broadcasts with him, I have to wake up at 5 o'clock and get up. It's 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm on here with you. Ain't nobody paying me. I don't look for no pay. All I want to do is help my people. And if you would let me, I will. It's time for us to stop just spinning our wheels and just going to people, and every generation got the same complaints. Every generation, the same complaints. That's because we have not had the right leadership. And when we had the right leadership, we threw it away. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad took them complaints that we had about no jobs, no freedom, no justice, no equality. He started giving us freedom, justice, and equality. He showed us how to give that to ourselves. White people used to have to respect the fact that we wouldn't even let them in our temple. What so-called Negro in America had anything that the white man couldn't go into? But Muhammad's temple was a place he knew he couldn't come just walking in there. If the police wanted to come in, he had to check his gun at the door or don't come in. And since they couldn't give up their guns, they didn't come into our meetings. They stood on the outside. Okay, no officer disarmed himself. Now with me, I don't care. He bring his gun or whatever. He can sit down and listen. I don't care. The messenger said, we done search you out there at the door because we think your gun gonna go off and kill us. We only wanted to show you that the weapons of this world will not be used by us. And if you came into the temple with any brother or sister, you saw all of them get searched, including the one who brought you there. Because we did not allow nobody that's in the nation of Islam to carry weapons. And that is the thing that even to this day, no weapons among us. If Allah is with you, what you need a gun for? If God is truly with you, if all of them, if Saudi Arabia, if they really is a Muslim country, what they need to buy all of these weapons for? $100 billion. They just made a deal with President Trump for over $100 billion worth of weapons. No, the only Muslims on this country, on this planet, is those who with me. Yeah, if I die, it sure won't be with a gun in my hand.
Yeah. I would say this.
Okay.
Paul, the only reason I wanted to make clear about Dr. King. Dr. King, like all great men, when they die, the people don't go to them. It's not written material and fight the middle, that they reduce those great leaders through gossip and through the internet. So I want to find clear to you that not all great leaders are created by the intensity of the struggle of the masses. And those great leaders, usually, like Mao Zedong in China, Lenin in Russia, those leaders like that, and Martin Luther King in America, those leaders move for the benefit of the masses of people, and they need traces of it and evidence of it, such as Medicare, a food stamp. They talk about Martin Luther King and the revolution that the people carried on, and he led and gave consciousness to. And the civil rights of 64 and the voting rights in 65. He accomplished more for us, the masses of poor people, and who is the masses than anybody in the history of America. So, and let me say this is the last thing.
No, wait a minute, brother. No, wait a minute. No, you can't lecture us. Now you stop right there.
Brother Tyrone, hold on 1 second.
No, you stop right there, brother. See, that's my point. See, you wanna say things, and you don't want nobody to question what you're saying. Now, did you walk with Dr. King? Okay, stop a moment. Now you saying that a man who walked with Dr. King, we should just discount what he said Dr. King and him had in private conversations. No, man, no, I don't even want to hear that, brother. You know, it's just like me. I was in Vietnam, and just a moment. See, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong with us. Now here you didn't walk with Dr. King, and a man who did walk with Dr. King, you want to just completely ignore anything he had to say about Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, why would Harry Belafonte, what reason would Harry Belafonte have to lie about a conversation that he had with Dr. King?
Harry Belafonte said that.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to do. Hold on. I'm going to do some fact finding.
No, brother. You come in here and you know I'm like this. I don't agree with everything that Minister Farrakhan have to say. But when it comes to conversations that he had with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm the kind of person, brother, that I know how to discern when a person is saying something that's valid. Minister Farrakhan have related many things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that ain't in no book. But yet, based on what is in books and based on the man the kind of man that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was, I know that most of what Minister Farrakhan said about the messenger, he may have not gave the understanding of what the messenger said, but when he said the messenger said this or the messenger said that, most of it is true. The messenger did say it. And I'll tell you, when it comes to Dr. King, if you listen to that mountaintop speech, when Dr. King said, he said, like everyone, I want to live. He said, long life, longevity has its place, but I am no longer afraid to die. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Martin Luther King, he said he was a man that was frightened to death by white people. He said, but he woke up right away when he and I was talking. And if he was no longer afraid to die, then what was he telling you? That he was afraid. At one time, he was afraid.
Yeah.
Then what took the fear out of him? You see, you sit up and you make all of these statements, brother, and the reason that you are more educated by white people than you care to admit, because that's the way white people do. They say something. That's the way they taught us. They just talk at us. They don't want to talk to us. They talk at us. And they just say one false thing or one erroneous thing after another. If a man telling you the truth, man, he don't care about you stopping him to question him about what he just said. But when you all be talking and someone want to question you and say, wait a minute, man, what you mean? You said, no, don't cut me off. I just want to say this one more thing. No, brother. No. That's not a learning situation there. That's a situation where you want to just put some propaganda out or just want to program people. I don't try to program anyone. And I'm not going to let nobody program me.
Yes. So the man, if you will, we have another call.
Yes.
Let's go to the line. And everyone, I just wanted you all to know, I just did some research while we were talking. And so when we go to break, I'm going to look at the clip. I see a clip right here from a conversation that Harry Belafonte has about Dr. King. So it's going to be interesting, okay?
Okay.
Let's go to the line. Thanks so much for your patience. Good morning to you. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
As I'm just blessed to even be here and blessed to be in the presence of this thing. I want to add to what the Son of Man has said, that in my experience in being blessed to live on this earth for the time that I'm here. Okay. That's insignificant. But what I have observed is that you learn from three things that I think of. You learn by seeing something, hearing something, and doing something. When I referenced that, I said, you come here divorced of any knowledge, and your first teacher is your mother, and hopefully your father. And how does she communicate that? So, in time that's going on, I look at things like that. How do you deconstruct what was, so you know how to construct what you feel, what you believe is, if you follow my train of thought. Okay, so if I deconstruct, let me add this part to you to talk about privilege. I think the way people looked about privilege in the past, what they call it passing. Okay. When I say passing, people of our origin understand what passing is. Mm-hmm. Is that you wanted to, that person was able to be accepted into that culture. Okay, enough said about that. But as I deconstruct things, I said, what are the tools that you use to learn? Well, the written word and language. Okay, but then again, what language? Okay. Because the English is not not the only language of communication. The written word is not the only language of communication. And I'm at a loss here, but even the Bible, when the Son of Man references, he uses the Quran. That's what it is, the Quran and the Bible. And trying to explain going forward, okay, the written word. Okay, so someone wrote it down, whoever that was, whether what you want to believe, wrote it down, and you use those as tools to communicate to people for the betterment of people. Okay. Now, as I deconstruct America, they did not, as I'm looking at this country, if you accept that we're all Americans, regardless of where your origin comes from, because America is not an origin.
Right.
It is, I'm just trying to deconstruct this, okay, and not being angry with anybody, because I didn't know my mother.
Brother, what is your point?
Girl in the bosom of a fool. And no one wants to be a fool.
So you know what? So stay right there, Surfy. Well, this is what we're going to do. You know, our time, give me 1 second. Our time is coming to an end. Interesting on this segment. I'm going to ask Son of Man, if you can, to give us a summation. I know he's always open to considering and moving this conversation into this evening time. His personal time, he's always open and presented the opportunity for us to call in, to speak with him, to continue the conversation. So, Son of Man, can you give us a wrap up? I mean, man, our time is just...
Yes, I was just, brother, I want to tell you something. You said something earlier. You one of the things you learn by is doing. And if you think, I'm always curious to those who want to advise us. What are you doing?
I can't hear you.
I said,
to shut off the phone.
those of us who you said you learn by doing. I mean, how in the world can you advise us on anything if you're not doing something that shows you that your advice is worth following? Don't experiment on us. Even in this world, before they let you use medicine on human beings, you experiment on animals. You don't come in there and experiment on people, especially without their permission. And you have to tell them that, look, we don't know if this works or not. We just trying this one. You volunteer, and even the government won't let you just let its people just volunteer for something that could cause them irreparable harm. So, the things that I'm telling you that we should do, I'm doing myself. Now, what are you doing yourself that we should follow your advice? And we can continue this conversation because that's not a rhetorical question. I want you to come in this evening, and I would be more than happy to have that conversation with you. And we have something that goes on for hours and hours. And I can take it as long as I want because it's in a conference room. And even when we go off the air, I can continue the conversation with you. We online, and the whole world is listening. And so, I'm not trying to front you, but I'm not going to let you front me either. Now, don't come in here giving us advice just to experiment, your experimental advice. We need facts now. And if you're not doing anything, stop advising people. And if you're doing something, show us. Ms. Ramsey, thank you for having me on and being patient with us. And thank you for creating a forum where we can have these kind of conversations instead of talk shows. So
Son of Man. It's a privilege for us all to be here on WHPR TV 33. And as you said in the onset, this is a platform that allows us to speak our mind, that doesn't give us a cue card and we have to read from it. And maybe at some point, maybe we won't appreciate it until we don't have it anymore, potentially, because normally that's how we work, versus valuing what the essence of it is right now. So we can speak freely. That we can have these conversations to make us better, and we're not told what to say and what to do. That's a privilege. Maybe it takes us back to where we started the conversation. And you all know you can continue that conversation tonight with the Son of Man and New Nation of Islam. You can follow the New Nation of Islam online. All the information is there. I tell you all, I'm going to tune in. I think you all should tune in. It's information that makes us better. And as Son of Man said, and what we've always said on the show, but at the end of the day, if you keep doing the same thing and you get the same results and you think you're going to get a different result, it's called insanity. And maybe we're just the dog chasing the tail and we really don't want to change. So you have to ask yourself that. Son of Man, thank you so much.
And thank you.
Look forward to tonight, and of course, look forward to our time next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thank you. Everyone, I don't want you all to go anywhere. We're going to take